Hey, NCMA family, how you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day or evening or whenever you're watching this. And thank you again and welcome to another video. And in this video, we are going to talk about something, man, that really makes me mad. It really makes me mad. But I told you we're going to stay on this particular topic. We're going to stay on it. And we're going to continue to expose this because I said this certain group of people, they are the enemies of our people. They're the enemies of it. And again, who am I speaking of? I'm speaking of the Boule class, fraternities and sororities. And, and so we're going to do our part to make sure that we continue to stay on top of this. And this is a case in point that exactly what I'm talking about. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to look at something that a person by the name of Killer Mike. I'm sure you guys know of, many of you have already heard of him or maybe know of him. Killer Mike. He is basically he's a guy that basically he started his old career. He was a rapper and all of that. Then he started getting into activism and all that kind of good stuff. And, the white media loves him. They constantly set him up as a spokesperson for our people and all that kind of stuff. And so anyway, outside of just mere activism and particularly political activism, he launched into this thing he's calling this, not me. He is calling this, and his associates, they're referring to this as a black bank. Okay. And in the picture that you see there, you have Killer Mike, which is on Killer Mike. That's like early 90s. I'm not calling, anyway. Killer Mike, what you see on the far left, you have Andrew Young. They found him somewhere. And Andrew Young. And then you have another gentleman by the name of Ryan Glover. I looked him up, and I believe they say he is the founder of Bounce TV. Okay. And basically they got together and they developed something called Greenwood Bank. Okay. Again, I'm keying on this word Greenwood, or rather bank. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I can't play the video, but I can certainly play the audio. I want you to give a listen to basically in a nutshell how this report is, this reporter is talking about his conversation with Killer Mike and talking about this bank and how beneficial it's going to be for us as black people and all that kind of good stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the audio, and then from there we'll come back and we're gonna look into this, okay? Because there's some things in there that we definitely need to address for real, okay? And this comes by way of CBS, okay? So let me go ahead and play the audio.
On a new episode of 60 and 6 on Quibi, rapper and activist Killer Mike revealed he is co-founder of a black-owned bank called Greenwood. 60 and 6 on Quibi correspondent Wesley Lowery interviewed Killer Mike to discuss what led to the founding of the digital bank. Here's a clip from that interview.
All the movements have commonalities, even in our differences. Mm-hmm. One big commonality we have in the movements in terms of having the same masters or oppressors or people that kind of hold marginalized people down is they control the money. And whoever controls the money in politics, whether it's a lobbyist group or a billionaire that decides he wants to see his friend in Senate or mayoral office, that money kind of dominates.
60 and 6 on Quibi correspondent Wesley Lowery joins us now to talk about this. Good to see you, my friend. This is so great that you got a chance to talk to Killer Mike about investing in black-owned banks and specifically the reasons as to why he thinks it's important to help African Americans, people of color in this country, create generational wealth. What'd you learn?
Okay, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to continue to play. But notice they are calling it a bank, okay? You heard Killer Mike just speaking. He's referring to it as a bank. Here's CBS. They're referring to it as a bank, okay? As we go on in this video, you're going to see why I keep harping on that, okay? Let's go back to the audio here.
Of course, Bud, thanks a ton for having me. Happy to be here with you folks. It was a fascinating conversation. We were down in Atlanta, and we were actually in his barber shop. Killer Mike is a small business owner himself. And what he was talking about was how a lot of capital in communities come from banks and banks willing to invest and lend out loans. But very often, traditional banks might not be so willing to put up money and to invest money into underdeveloped Black and Brown communities. And so one of the kind of tenets of this Black banking movement is that if you invest money in Black banks, there's a better chance that that money is going to then be reinvested back into Black communities. One statistic they look at and they talk about is that in white communities, a dollar stays in the community for much, much longer. Right, that it's getting passed between various businesses within the community and different people, while in Black communities, it's just a matter of hours before that dollar leaves the community and goes elsewhere. And so the hope is that you create a more robust economy where Black dollars are staying within the Black community and being reinvested as a means of spurring economic growth.
You know, I think a lot of people would have maybe been introduced to Killer Mike if they didn't know him as a hip hop artist, were introduced during the last election when he was like a very staunch Bernie Sanders supporter. We haven't heard a lot from him. And then when I watched this piece, this election, in terms of supporting a particular candidate, but when I watched this piece, I got the sense that he was almost sort of, he had decided that being politically active is important, but we need to do something to sort of transcend the comings and goings of different political parties or political representatives. And that's why he was looking at banking. That if you really wanted to achieve Black excellence politics was not going to cut it.
You know, it's interesting. You know, Killer Mike was a Bernie surrogate this time around, although not necessarily as prominently as in the last election cycle. Some of that, I think, is our perception because there was the novelty of the Bernie campaign last time, and this time it was kind of a known entity. But I do think you're right that there is a lot of conversation in various movements about how do you influence change and fight for improvement, even out of the conversation in the context of our electoral politics. And so this type of activism is really interesting. Killer Mike is also, for a lot of folks, they've interacted with him or encountered him following some of the unrest in Atlanta earlier this year. When he appeared with Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, an attempt to kind of calm the city. And he gave a pretty impassioned speech about the need to reinvest and build community as opposed to tear it down. And so he's certainly someone who's known around Atlanta, who's been involved in these issues from an old Atlanta family that's been there for a long time. You can't talk to Killer Mike for long without him talking about his grandparents and their role in his life and kind of his civic education. But I do think you're right that it is interesting very often as we encounter celebrities, other surrogates who enter the public consciousness in a lot of ways through electoral politics, and then we follow their work over the course of years and even into decades afterwards. And so this.
Okay, I'll just stop it there for now, but you get the general idea, you know, because I really want to focus more on them, you know, talking about this bank, and they're giving a whole bunch of, it's 11-minute news piece, and it's on CBS News, and what you just listened to, let's see, this was posted, I'm just trying to pull it up now, October the 8th. Okay, so it wasn't too long ago before, you know, the video that you're watching here. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take a look at this actual website, okay, of Greenwood, the Greenwood Bank. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull that up if you just give me a moment here. And we're going to take a quick look at the website first, okay? And let me pull this up here, and there we go. Okay, so here we are. The address you got in front of you, it is bankgreenwood.com. So in the URL itself, it says it's a bank. Okay, I got to keep saying this, okay? So in your mind and in my mind, what are you just assuming, okay, this is a Black-owned bank. Okay, so let me go through the site and I'm going to explain some things to you, okay? So anyway, modern banking for the culture. A digital mobile banking experience made for Black and Latinx customers. Oh, yes. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, too. Okay, so then it goes on. It's a very simple page here. For one and for everyone, when you open a digital bank account with Greenwood, you save money, help the community, and get paid early. Recirculating wealth. That's the Greenwood way. All right, let's go down. And family, you know how we do on this platform. We're just looking right at the information. Okay. I'm not adding anything else. We're looking at what they are putting out here. But what's happening is, and as you're going to see as this video plays out, we're going to point some things out to you. Okay. That typically a lot of people look over. Okay. Join us. Pay it forward. Feed a family. Feed 5 meals to a family through Gooder. When you create an account. I guess that's some other platform. Let's see. Donate to nonprofits. Give to UNICEF and NAACP through spare change roundups. Small business grants. We gift $10,000 every month to a Black or Latinx business. Hidden fees, never. Very simple. We don't charge you hidden fees to give us your money. And we don't have overdraft fees. You made it, you keep it, you prosper. All right. Full service digital banking in your hand. And they go, they're giving you all this stuff here. Digital savings and spending accounts, Apple and Android Pay, peer-to-peer transfers, mobile banking deposits, community reinvestment, global ATM network, no hidden fees, 2-day early pay, next gen security, no worries, banking. Your money is safe. All deposits will be held at FDIC insured banks. Let me read that again. Your money is safe. All deposits will be held at FDIC insured banks. For peace of mind, that's everything. That's no worries virtual banking. Join the movement now. Then you can sign up. Then there's the fine print. What I'm going to do is as I was looking into this further, I came across I'm not familiar with this page at all, this YouTube page that I came across. But so I don't know anything about this brother that, looked at this topic like we're looking at it. But I thought within a 3-minute window, I thought he did an excellent job of just going through this page. There's certain things that he picked out that he's talking about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring up his video and you could take a look at it yourself. We're going to look at it together. And then when we come back after the video, we're going to talk a little bit more about this. OK, because there's some more things worth checking out here. All right. So let me go ahead and bring that page back up and let me go ahead and play this guy's video here. OK.
What's going on, good people? I respect your time, I respect your intelligence, and I am going to show you exactly where it says Greenwood is not a bank on their website. Greenwood is not a bank. It's marketed as a black bank to get black people to deposit their money through Greenwood, but it's actually not a bank, and I'll show you. If you look at one of the highlights on their homepage, bankgreenwood.com, it says all deposits will be held at FDIC insured banks. Banks, that's plural. So when you deposit your money via this app, they are actually depositing your money a second time, initially it's not going to Greenwood. Your deposit is going to another bank. What bank is this? Is this a black bank? Is this a major bank? So on the website, let's click the annotation, number 4. And if you go all the way to the bottom of the website in the fine print, it says, and let me zoom in on this. Because I know people like to, call us haters and a whole bunch of other stuff when we provide facts. It says Greenwood is not a member of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. That's the FDIC. Banking services will be provided by FDIC member banks. So the banking services that you think you're getting from Greenwood is actually provided by a completely separate bank, other banks. Who are these banks, and are they black owned? I'm going to say they're not black owned, because if they were, it will probably be disclosed. I am not telling you what to do with your money, but I've said it from day one. This is a grift, an attempt to get black people to throw their money at anything black. And I don't appreciate you disrespecting us, insulting our intelligence, when you know people are not going to read the fine print. This comes directly from the website. I'm not making this up. Go to bankgreenwood.com and scroll all the way to the bottom of the homepage. And it says Greenwood is not a member of the FDIC. Banking services will be provided by FDIC member banks. All facts. You can call me names, you can call me stupid, you can call me poor, whatever. That doesn't change the fact that Greenwood is not a bank. All right? Y'all be safe, be smart. I'll see you on the next one.
All right, so you you heard it right there. You heard it right there. Greenwood is not a bank. It's not a bank, but they're marketing it as that. And you notice that he's, Killer Mike, he's on all these white shows. He's even going on some black platforms as well. And he's marketing as such. But beyond the title of it, once you look at the fine print, they're telling you that it's not a bank, that the money that you are giving to them is basically, it's going to other banks. And like he said, and I tend to agree with that, it's probably not black banks. It's going to more than likely white banks, because if it was black banks, then they would probably, more than likely, they would disclose that on the website itself, which they didn't. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is not a bank. It's not a bank at all. So let me kind of explain to you before we get back to the page a little bit about a bank and at the end of the day, because we've, when you look throughout history, okay, of us here in this country, and, over time we got to a place where we were able to create our own banks and all this other stuff. And what you have to understand is this: all banks are tied to the Federal Reserve. Okay. So a bank in of itself cannot go beyond the rules or the regulations of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is the umbrella of pretty much all banks, and I say banks that are out there. You understand what I'm saying? So in essence, whatever bank you go to, be it Bank of America or, whatever Wells Fargo, whatever bank of your choice, right? All these banks are nothing more than front doors, if you will, to the Federal Reserve System. That's all they are. And each of these doors, if you will, they are owned by an individual or a group of individuals, right? And so those individuals are set up to where they get the most benefit, because, the whatever they charge, whatever they get with them, because the money that you give them, they're making money off of that because they're investing it and all this other stuff, right? They got their own system set up where they're getting money off of that. You give them money, basically, there's number one, like, never believe, I don't care who they are, what they look like, or whatever. There is not a such thing as free, particularly when you're talking about money. Someone's making money off of that. They may tell you on the front end, oh no, everything's free. You don't get, trust me, they're making money. Okay. And so, for example, like I'm going to talk about Cash App in a moment. Cash App, you can deposit your money. You think they're just holding it and just kind of like just sitting there? No, that money, they're investing it and all that stuff and making money on top of that. Okay. So the people who are making the most money are the people that own it. Okay. So when you hear someone who says, well, this is a black owned bank, let's just say if we're just talking about an actual bank, right? That bank, whatever services that they're providing, I mean, it's not going to be any different than what you can get from most white banks. Okay. Do banks, are you going to, so for example, if a black bank isn't going to give a loan to someone who does not meet the minimum requirements of those loans, the same loans that you can get from Bank of America or anybody else. It's just a black person that's offering the loan to you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's no different, whether if you get the loan from a black bank or if you get it from a white bank, it doesn't matter. All it is one door is black, the other is white. You understand what I'm saying? I think the perception that for many of us, is that you think that you're going to get something extra by going to a black bank. And you're not really getting that, because a lot of this really plays on this whole narrative that really it's historically based, where you were going to a white bank and they would turn you away because of this, that, or whatever. But if you go in a black bank, well, they're not going to do that. Well, like I just said at the beginning of this, it doesn't matter if you go to a black bank or white bank or whatever. At the end of the day, the Federal Reserve is the one that controls all of it. And if they decide that you, Negro, ain't going to get this loan, you're not going to get it, rather if you go to a white bank or a black bank. It doesn't matter. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's talking about just banks, period. Okay. This, like this brother just pointed out, is not a bank. What it is basically a financial platform, which is a little different. Okay. This is a little different. It's similar to, let me go to, I'm going to pull up Cash App here, and then we'll go back to, I'm going to go back to their page here in just a moment. Okay. So this is Cash App. Now, Cash App is basically set up pretty much the same way, apparently, with almost the same way. I mean, Cash App is a lot bigger platform, so what you're dealing now is with size. Okay. So it's a little bit different, but it's the same concept. So if you notice right off the top, when you go to Cash App, right off the top, it's just first of all, the address is cash.app, period. They didn't say Cash App Bank. They just say cash.app. And so as you're scrolling through, they tell you, they say send and receive money with anyone, donate to an important cause, or tip professionals. Just enter a cash tag, phone number, or scan the QR codes to pay. All right. Banking. Okay. Receive your paycheck, tax returns, and offer direct deposits up to 2 days early using your Cash App routing and account number. So it's kind of set up as a bank, but they don't really, again, it's not really, that's not part of their front end marketing. You're not going to hear them saying that Cash App is a bank. They do offer services. You understand what I'm saying? In fact, for those of you who do have Cash App, one of the things that they do, they tell you is that, hey, listen, you can connect your account to banks. You understand what I'm saying? So Cash App is a platform that will allow you, it's kind of like a easier way for you to collect or send money. But if you want to connect it, but at the end of the day, if you want full banking services, then you're going to have to go to an actual brick and mortar bank, right? And that's what they tell you once you start going through. And like I said, again, Cash App is a much larger platform. It's been around a lot longer. So they have different things like connections to Bitcoin, stocks, and things like that. We're not comparing that to Greenwood. Greenwood is just kind of sort of starting out. So we're not comparing those services. But what I am focusing on, again, is the fact that this, like Greenwood, is nothing more than a platform. This is not a bank as you would think it is. But what's dishonest here about Greenwood off the bat is that it's calling itself a bank, and it's not. Okay, so let's go ahead and just continue. We're just going to go through this because there's some things that I want to point out besides what this brother pointed out in there, which I thought he did a very good job. Okay, join us. Pay it forward. Feed a family. Feed 5 meals to a family through Gooder when you create an account. Now, so they lead off with that because, first of all, Black folks, we as a people, when it comes to giving, when people who are in need, we traditionally are always doing that. We are known to be givers. This is why I get so angry when I hear some of our people say that we don't support one another. No, that's a lie. Black people, we do give. I mean, for many of us who came in the church system or whatever, we all have our complaints and criticisms about the Black church. But one thing that we can look at historically at the Black church is that the Black church, before it got into all this other stuff that we see today, was always established as a centerpiece of the community that always gave. I mean, be it food drives, giving people places to stay, it was always known to be that. You understand what I'm saying? So as a people, they lead off with that, knowing full well, oh, okay, wow, if I invest, if I give my money to them, they're going to be, they'd say you can feed 5 meals to a family. Wow, that's good. Okay, well, like I said, again, a lot of these services you can also find with any other bank. And I just actually took one example. I went to Bank of America. Bank of America's right here, hunger relief. They partner with many nonprofit organizations right within in their own community. For example, I lived in Atlanta. Bank of America was very active in Atlanta, where who's there? A lot of black folks. So you had black folks who were greatly benefiting from a lot of these programs and things, the investments they were doing at local businesses, local community centers and things like that, and all this other stuff. Okay, so Bank of America's doing this. That's just one bank, but you got a lot of other banks that do this stuff all the time. So it's really, again, it's not anything different. All this is, what is leading up to is more symbolism. That's all it is. Oh, it's a black face doing it. Okay, that's all it is. All right, let's get to the next point. Donate to nonprofits. Give to UNICEF, the United Negro College Fund, and the NAACP through spare change roundups. Okay, first of all, both of these organizations are outdated in many, many ways. In many ways. They tend to lean towards one particular side of the political spectrum. When it comes to issues like, what's been coming up as of late for quite a few years now is this whole issue of reparations, which, those of us that follow us on this platform, we take that very seriously. Now, again, I personally do not believe that reparations is going to come by the ballot box. I believe it's something that only the Most High can bring at the end of the day. That's what I believe. But reparations in of itself is a very real and a valid issue and a valid argument. Okay. And when we speak of reparations, we're talking about one group of people only, and that is black folks, the descendant of slaves to this country. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about any other group of people. Okay. So that leads me to the next thing, what you see here, small business grants. We gift 10 grand every month to a black or Latinx business. Okay, so some people will hear that and they say, well, wait a minute, Dwayne, you have blacks who are also Latino as well that come from, that's true. That's very true. But Latinx is a very broad spectrum that covers quite a bit. Okay, if you followed this last election, the Latino community, many of them, not all, but many of them voted for who? They voted for Trump. They voted for Trump. And a lot of them, and there's a lot of jokes on there, online. You can take your pick or whatever. When it comes to us, they try not to align themselves when it comes to us as a people. Oh, yeah, you can say that many of them do have black in them or whatever, but many of them, not all, try to do everything they can to distance themselves from black folks, descended of slaves. So what they're saying with this platform is the money that you give to them, to this money platform, they're going to take a portion of the monies that they make, and they're going to give it to a group of people who for a very long time has tended to distance themselves from us. Okay, let's look at all the facts. If we're gonna talk about it, let's talk about it, right? So this is where it's going, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and continue. And if you've ever listened to Killer Mike, he's real big on this black-brown coalition stuff and all that, but he never talks about all these real things when it comes to what's really going on with that. Because in a minute, at the time of this recording, on one hand, you had future president, or president-elect, I should say, Biden, for now, who is, on one hand, he's saying, black people, thank you so much for helping me win the election, and I'll never forget you. I'll never forget what you did. Okay, and you look at the top 10 list of things that he's going to do once he gets in office, there's not one thing on that list that deals with the very black folks that he's thanking. Not one. He has an agenda for LGBT, And he has an agenda for women, mainly white women. I was just reading an article today where he said his press department, he's hired all women. I took a look at it. From what I saw, they're all non-black women. Okay. Then on top of that, there's another story that there's something else. They said one of the top things he's going to do is to sign some whatever presidential order or whatever and legalize 11 to 22 million illegal immigrants in this country. 11 to 22 million. Okay. Many, not all, but a good percentage of those immigrants are Latinx. Okay. A good percentage of them are. Now, what is that going to do for us who have been here, in this country, the descendant of slaves? Now you're looking at more displacement when it comes to the job market, in the job market. You're going to see more displacement when it comes to government benefits, for those that are on government benefits programs or whatever. You're going to see more of that pushing us out of it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Basically, it's a way of just browning us out, so to speak, if you can put it that way. But yeah, 11 to 22 million. Now, on top of competing against white people, now you're bringing all these people in, you're legalizing them. And now we're in a position where, again, back to Deuteronomy chapter 28, now we're even further down the totem pole, so to speak. Okay. So this is what we're talking about here. And this is what Killer Mike is saying he wants to bring together, so to speak. But you don't talk about these things. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's go ahead and continue. Digital. Okay, we covered all this stuff. But like I said, all these services here that you're looking at right now, literally, you can go to many similar platforms like PayPal, Cash App. They offer all these same things. Okay. And then, like my man just talked about, your money is safe. All deposits will be held at FDIC insured banks. So basically, let's go back again. And then we're going to talk about Andrew Young. All right. So again, what's happening? They're going to take your money, this platform, not a bank. They're going to take the money that you're handing to them, and they're going to give it to other banks, more than likely are white-owned banks. And they're going to say, here, you take it. All right. So anytime they want access, you want access to your money, the black face may be at the front door, but behind the scenes, it's really the white people who are taking your money. They're investing it. They're making all the money. Okay. They're making all the money in their investments. And this so-called black bank, they're getting a portion of what these white people are making. Because trust and know, these FDIC banks that they're talking about here, they're getting more piece of the pie than this platform, because they're the ones that are the actual banks. They got their FDIC recognition and licensing. This platform does not, and they tell you that. You understand what I'm saying? And like my man said, and this is absolutely true, this is nothing more. What you're looking at is a grift. That's all it is 100% a grift. That's all it is. And what it is that you got these black people here that I just mentioned here, they're skimming off of the top of what these white banks are making. That's all it is, off of the money. And and what's really burns me up about it is that they want to use the legacy of Greenwood on top of that. Greenwood was a 100% positively, absolutely a brick and mortar community and legacy that had its own banks. Those banks that were in Greenwood, that was banks that were owned and operated by the people who lived there, right? So, you were investing in those banks or whatever. Yes, a good percentage of that money, the people who owned those banks, they were giving away. The jobs, for example, the people that they hired, for example, who were working in those banks were black folks, right? The owners, they were black. So that money was it was a greater percentage of that money was going back into the community. Now, let me ask you this, because it's a digital bank, I wonder what is the percentage of the people who are black who are going to be working for Greenwood? Because it's a digital bank. Do we really know who's working behind the scenes? You want to position it as a black bank, right? Are you going to have black people there? behind the scenes? These are questions that as a people, we got to ask. Okay. Your money is safe. All deposits will be held at FDIC insured banks for peace of mind. That's everything. That's a no worries virtual banking. Join the movement now. Let's see. Sign up for our wait list to become part of the new Greenwood. And then they give the stuff here. And we'll go to the small print like my brother just did by entering. Okay, let me see. Okay, I'll just read this one here. Greenwood will donate the equivalent cost of 5 meals to Gooder. When your application for a Greenwood account is approved, Gooder will administer the meal distributions at the sale of discretion. Again, don't be moved even by that, because like I said, there are plenty of organizations that are out there that already do it. Okay, that already give. All right, you don't have to get this account in order, well, it's a way I'm helping or whatever. You could do that right now. This is just, or go to the Gooder platform and you could probably do it yourself. Okay, so you're really not doing anything that's any different than what's already out there. The only difference is they're putting out, from a marketing standpoint, black faces that make you think you're doing something. Let me see. Oh, and then here's the point right here that he was talking about. Greenwood is not a member of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Banking services will be provided by the FDIC member banks, like he just said, and it's still there. All right. So this is kind of the breakdown here. Now, let me go to Andrew Young. Andrew Young, this is him right here. I believe he is an Alpha Phi Alpha. So he is he's one of these Boule guys. He's these fraternity guys. And I'm going to go back again to my original point, like I said in the beginning of this video. Again, these are the enemies of our people. These people right here. But Andrew Young, how can you say that about him? Because he marched for freedom and, he did this and that or whatever. Yeah, he went through some things like that. Absolutely he did. But so did a lot of our other people as well. But Andrew Young is a part of a class that do this kind of stuff that I just described to you. They do this stuff all the time, the black folks, all the time, when it comes to this kind of stuff right here. And what I described to you is 100% a grift, where at the end of the day, who's getting a good part of the pie? Andrew Young, okay, Alpha Phi Alpha. Let's see, Ryan Glover. I haven't found out yet what fraternity he is, but make no mistake about it, I'm sure he's part in that group as well. And then Killer Mike. Okay. Then, these are the people that are getting most of the benefit when it comes to this bank. But as far as we as a people, it's just a grift. What these people have agreed to at the end of the day is to be the middleman of the middleman. That's it. But when it comes to our people and what we're getting, we're not getting anything. They just got their hand out right under. It's kind of like if you think of this picture of you're pouring out a pitcher of water and then you got two hands out. Hold on, let me get my camera back up. You got two hands out like this, right? And then you're pouring out a pitcher of water. That's your resources, right? Well, someone's pouring out a pitcher of water. Let's just say that. And the first hands that are there are a set of white people hands, right? Right under those hands, it's a smaller set of hands. Well, that's Andrew Young, Killer Mike, and Ryan Glover. They're catching it. And then the smallest hands, which are under those two sets of hands, are your hands. That's how this thing is set up at the end of the day. That's what it is. It's nothing more. Okay? So I wanted to do this video because, again, we're going to stay on top of this kind of stuff. Because when I saw this, once I'm like kind of looking at this, I was like, no. And I have been keeping my eye on this for some time now. Now, if you are a person, you're looking at this and you're like, hey, listen, I want to still give my money to it. Then if you do what you want to do, but don't think for one moment that this is a bank. It's not a bank. All you're doing is, see, this is the thing about our people. We fall all the time for this symbolism nonsense. That's all it is. This is nothing but empty symbolism, where basically a portion of your money is being funneled to their pockets, but you're not really getting anything. There's no economic uplift in this. Like, so when that CBS reported, when they were talking about reinvesting in the community, no, anytime they say that, stuff like that, especially when it comes to stuff like this, when they say reinvesting in the community, no, what that means is you're reinvesting in their pockets, okay? You're reinvesting in their pockets. I can point to many examples of banks, large banks, medium-sized banks who have been investing right in their local communities because it's in their best interest to do so, okay? It's in their best interest to do so, to invest in schools, invest in local charities and nonprofits and stuff like that. These banks, they're large banks that do this literally all the time. And there's a lot of evidence for this. There's a lot of evidence, but still we're going to have that small percentage of our people who's going to say, well, I hear what you're saying, but hey, listen, at the end of the day, it's still going into our hands, black people hands. And, I'd much rather see black people handle it, than white people handle it. It's kind of like the whole Obama thing, well, we got Obama in office and but nothing really changed. Well, I know, but, it was just good to see a black person there. We got to get out of this, family. We got to get out of this thinking, because this thinking it leaves us in a state of just stagnation where we're just never going anywhere. Nothing's ever happening at all. And we're just moved and satisfied with symbolism. But this symbolism stuff, it doesn't do a doggone thing to us as a people. So we have to talk and expose this stuff for what it is, because this kind of nonsense, these scams, things like this, it has to be brought down, exposed, and destroyed, because this kind of stuff doesn't work. Do we need economic solutions for our people? Absolutely. But this ain't it. Thank you so much, family, for tuning in as always. And until the next video, I'll see you soon. You guys take care.